so you want to paint faster. I got you. Now, before we get into this, I'd like to show you two paintings I did at a distance of about a year apart. One of them, which will now pop up somewhere around here, took me about 40 hours to complete. Look at it, 40 hours of work for this. So then the second one, this took me less than half. So clearly I had some issues in the past with how fast I was able to complete painting, but applying the things that we're going to talk about today, it turns out they've actually helped. So first, allow me to clarify what I mean by painting faster. This has nothing to do with the actual speed of painting, but more so with how to avoid those nasty time-wasting habits that hold you back in the first place. It's about being more efficient and more deliberate in every step of the painting process. So what we're gonna do is go over 7 tips that have helped me and can definitely help you avoid wasting precious time, and as a consequence of that, dramatically shorten the time that it takes you to finish a painting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Before we get into that, let's quickly go over why painting faster might be something you want for yourself. The first thing to consider is that you're going to finish more work, which in turn means you're going to see your skills develop at a faster rate, which is always a good thing, right? You'll also see an exponential growth in your body of work, which is definitely a good thing, especially when you're trying to build a portfolio. Another benefit of learning how to paint faster is you also learn how to detach yourself from your paintings, which means you're probably going to have an easier time dealing with failures and overcoming obstacles within your painting process. You'll probably not suffer as much when something doesn't work out the way you planned. And it also means you'll learn that your paintings are not porcelain. You can actually go in and make mistakes and nothing's gonna happen. One other thing to consider, especially in this day and age, is social media. What is a good indicator of success on social media? It's probably consistency, right? So, by painting faster, you get more work done, you have a broader body of work to get attention on yourself. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into those tips. First tip is to have a clear idea of what you want to paint. Maybe even sketch out a few thumbnails to establish the composition, the placement of the subjects, the poses, things like that. Do your best to get as much of the guesswork out of the equation as soon as you can. Inevitably, some changes might come up along the way, but it's best to avoid making significant ones while you're already rendering your painting. Tip number 2 is to use a streamline process and stick to it. Ideally, one that you enjoy and that speaks to you. And this also involves the tools you're using. That way you can eliminate the time you spend trying to answer questions, wondering what you should do next, or what kind of brush you're supposed to use. There's less to actually think about during the painting process. When you use the same process over and over again, you quickly get used to it. So naturally, you'll become faster if you stick to that process. So, to summarize, find a method that you enjoy, gives you the results you want, and just stick to it. And stick to it for a long time. You'll be surprised at how much time this is going to save you overall. Tip number 3, don't be precious with your sketches. We've all seen those artists online that use this very thin ink brush from the start and do one pass at a sketch and they go straight into color and everything works out just perfect, right? The reality is that takes many, many years of dedicated drawing. So if you're not there yet, just use a bigger brush, use broad strokes, and be relentless and messy. Just get used to putting the things on canvas as they come. The sketching phase is when you figure things out, right? So there's no point in being extra careful and clean. Just put it down on the canvas and then you can work your way from there. Tip number 4, no matter the stage you're at in the painting process, always break things up into 3 different steps: big, medium, and small. So the idea is to be more efficient, you should set yourself up in such a way that you have checkpoints in your painting process, right? You start by tackling the big shapes first, and only after you finish with the big shapes do you move on to the medium-sized shapes. And after you're done with those, you can move on to the small. So it doesn't matter at what stage of the painting you're at, whether it's line art, coloring, shading, or polishing, always follow this recipe. Go from big to medium to small. Tip number 5. This kind of ties into the previous tip, and it's about focusing your attention where it's most needed. And that is the focal point of a painting. Focal points get the most attention in a piece, right? And as you move away from those, the detail distribution should be less and less. Think about how your painting is going to be seen by the public. It's going to be on a tiny screen, potentially compressed, so there's really no point in spending a lot of time polishing every little corner of your painting. Tip number 6, familiarize yourself with the concept of brush economy. And what this means is using the fewest possible brush strokes to convey the desired effect. It's about being efficient and intentional, making each brushstroke count, whether it's to indicate form, light, texture, or color. This approach will lead you to think critically about your brushstrokes and ultimately will lead you to cover more ground in less time. Tip number 7, don't zoom in until everything has been established and the big picture is clear. This kind of ties into tip number 4 about the big, medium, small hierarchy. You want to approach things gradually from big to small, right? I'll admit I'm guilty of this myself. I have a tendency to zoom in a lot, but I try to hold myself back from it. Because a lot of the times, zooming in and focusing on a small area can make it difficult to notice discrepancies in your painting. Imagine you just spent 30 minutes working on a 10 by 10 pixel square just to zoom out and notice that it looks all wonky and wrong. That's happened to me, and maybe it's happened to you too. We don't want that, right? So just don't zoom in so much. Okay, so if you've stuck with me this long, I have a bonus tip for you. And this tip is one that has probably helped me the most. And it's quite simple, really. Just don't bite more than you can chew. And what I mean by that is don't stray off too far from your comfort zone, right? I'm gonna bring up the 80-20 rule again, and you're gonna hear me talk about that plenty on this channel. You'll want to be 80% in your comfort zone and only 20% outside of it. And why should you stay in your comfort zone? Well, it's simple, because when you're trying to tackle on things that you're bad at or you don't have experience with, you will inevitably be slower. So let's say you want to do a splash art that involves multiple lights, advanced perspective, dynamic posing, composition, rendering, polishing, all those things. Well, unless you're already proficient in all of those skills, this is probably going to be a very challenging trial for you, and it's probably going to take you forever. And you probably won't even like the results that much. So instead of overwhelming yourself with impossible challenges, just try to limit the complexity of the art you want to create to something that is digestible for your current skill level. And have faith, with enough time and enough practice, you will be able to handle more complex subjects. Alright, with those tips out of the way, I just want to leave you with one more thought. If you're struggling with perfectionism, you spend an insurmountable amount of time on every painting that you do, and you don't know when to stop, applying these tips in order to paint faster will come at a cost. You will have to sacrifice some of your current habits in order to develop new ones. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you know why you're doing it.
That's right.
That's all from me today. I hope the tips we've gone over can be helpful for you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I will see you. So what we're gonna do is go over 7